The morning began with an electric buzz inside NBC's Today with Jenna and Friends studio, the kind of energy that only happens when a major star is in the building. The audience filled every seat, chattering excitedly, clutching their coffee cups and phones, ready to capture a moment with the beloved singer and talk show host, Kelly Clarkson. Producers darted around, headsets pressed to their ears, while stagehands made last-minute adjustments to lighting and props. Jenna Bush Hager, cheerful as always, stood backstage going over her cue cards with a wide smile. She'd interviewed dozens of celebrities before, but there was something special about Kelly, her charisma, her down-to-earth humor, her honesty. Everyone loved her, or at least, they used to. As the show went live, the applause erupted when Kelly walked on stage. Dressed in a sleek emerald green dress with her signature smile lighting up the room, she hugged Jenna and waved to the crowd. The first few minutes were everything you'd expect from a feel-good morning segment: laughter, warmth, easy banter. Kelly joked about her kids' messy bedrooms, Jenna teased her about her Southern mom energy, and Dylan Dreyer chimed in with a lighthearted quip about Kelly's knack for making even heartbreak songs sound empowering. But beneath the smiles, there was a subtle tension, small, almost invisible at first. Kelly had recently made headlines after giving a candid interview about the darker sides of fame, discussing fake friendships and industry manipulation. Her honesty had resonated with fans but rubbed some media personalities the wrong way. And now, with cameras rolling and millions watching, that honesty was about to be tested in real time. It started innocently enough when Dylan, reading from her cue card, brought up the topic. "Kelly, you've been really open lately about Hollywood and how not everyone's as genuine as they seem. That kind of honesty takes courage. What inspired you to finally speak out?" Kelly leaned back, crossing one leg over the other, her expression thoughtful. "I just got tired of pretending. This industry can make you feel like you've got to smile all the time, even when you're being taken advantage of. I'm not about that anymore." Her tone was calm, but the conviction in her voice made the room feel heavier. Jenna, trying to keep things upbeat, quickly added, "Oh, I totally get that. But don't you think sometimes people mean well? I mean, you've got a great circle, right? Lots of supportive friends." Kelly glanced at her, her lips curving into a tight half-smile. "Are we talking about real friends, or TV friends?" The audience laughed softly, unsure whether to take it as a joke. But Kelly didn't laugh. Her gaze held firm, her eyes locked on Jenna's. Jenna hesitated, her practiced charm flickering for a split second before she forced a chuckle. "Well, I'd like to think both. There's room for genuine friendship in our business, don't you think?" Kelly's voice dropped just enough to make everyone lean forward. "Sometimes there is, but sometimes people are only kind when you're useful to them. The moment you stop giving them what they want, they vanish." It's exhausting. The tension was palpable now. Dylan tried to break it by turning to the audience, saying cheerily, "Well, that's Hollywood for you." But even she sounded uneasy. Jenna straightened in her chair, her smile stiff. "You're one of the most loved artists out there, Kelly. I'm sure no one's vanishing on you." Kelly looked down, exhaling softly before meeting Jenna's eyes again. "You'd be surprised." That line landed like a stone dropped in still water. The studio went silent, and the audience didn't know whether to clap or wait. The live energy, once bubbly, was now tight and uncertain. Then, as if trying to recover, Jenna forced a light laugh. Okay, no more industry gossip. Let's talk about your new album. It's called Strong Ground, right? That title sounds personal." Kelly's jaw tightened slightly. "It is. It's about finding stability when everything around you feels fake." The crowd murmured again, sensing something raw bubbling beneath her calm exterior. Jenna smiled tightly. "Well, we're definitely not fake here. You know that." Kelly turned toward her and said, with a quiet edge, "I didn't name names, Jenna. But if the shoe fits." Gasps erupted from the audience. Jenna froze. Her co-hosts exchanged wide-eyed glances. Someone in the control room could be heard faintly saying, "Cut to commercial, cut to commercial." But the camera stayed on them, feeding the drama directly into living rooms across America. Jenna laughed, the kind of laugh people use when they're trying not to lose control. "Oh, come on, Kelly. We're friends. Don't tell me you think we're fake." Kelly's smile faded completely. "I think sometimes people pretend to care about your story until it stops being entertaining for them. I'm not here to play along with that." The air was thick now, like the calm before a thunderstorm. Jenna shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her cue cards trembling slightly in her hands. Dylan reached across the table, attempting to salvage the moment. "Let's talk about your kids, Kelly, they must be so proud of their mom right now." Kelly gave a short, humorless laugh. "You know, I came here to talk about music and life, not to play pretend." "Maybe that was my mistake." The audience went dead silent. Jenna blinked rapidly, her face caught between disbelief and embarrassment. The producer's voice rang through the earpieces again, "Commercial in 5, 4, but Kelly was already moving. She reached up, adjusted her microphone, and stood. "I've got nothing but love for your show," she said, her voice even, though her eyes glimmered with hurt. "But I'm not going to sit here and act like everything's fine when it's not. Maybe next time, let's keep it real." With that, she pushed back her chair and began walking off the set, her heels striking the floor in sharp, echoing clicks. The cameras caught her back as she strode past the stage lights, past the stunned crew, and out through the side curtain. The audience broke into nervous chatter, half shocked, half exhilarated. Jenna sat frozen for a beat before forcing a shaky smile to the camera. We'll be right back after this short break." The theme music swelled awkwardly as the screen faded to commercial. Behind the scenes, chaos erupted. Producers scrambled, headsets buzzing with overlapping voices. "Did that just happen?" one shouted. Jenna exhaled, rubbing her temples as Dylan tried to comfort her. "I didn't mean to upset her," Jenna muttered. "I thought we were just joking." Meanwhile, Kelly was already in the hallway, her team surrounding her. "You okay?" her publicist asked quietly. Kelly nodded, though her face was flushed with a mix of anger and disappointment. "I'm fine," she said firmly. "I just refuse to fake it anymore." And as the studio audience whispered, as social media clips began to surface online before the next segment even aired, Kelly Clarkson stepped into the elevator, leaving behind a stunned studio, and a storm that was only beginning to brew. Within minutes of the Today with Jenna and Friends broadcast cutting to commercial, the internet was on fire. Clips of Kelly Clarkson walking off the set were already circulating across X, TikTok, and YouTube. Someone in the studio audience had recorded the entire exchange on their phone, and within an hour, millions of people were watching it on loop. The hashtags, #KellyWalksOff, #JennaandKelly, and #KeepItRealKelly began trending worldwide. Viewers couldn't believe what they had just seen. Morning shows were supposed to be warm, polished, and full of laughter, not live battlegrounds for personal tension. But the rawness of it all, the uncomfortable silence, the power in Kelly's exit, it was TV gold. By noon, entertainment outlets had already published headlines like, "Kelly Clarkson storms off set after heated clash with Jenna Bush Hager," and "Awkward live TV moment sends shockwaves through morning television." TMZ posted slow-motion footage of Kelly's walk-off, calling it the most dramatic morning show exit since Megyn Kelly's meltdown. Social media, however, was divided. Some fans praised Kelly for standing her ground. "That's what authenticity looks like," one user wrote on X. "Kelly's been through so much, and she still refuses to fake a smile. Queen energy." Others criticized her for being unprofessional. "It's a live show, not therapy," another commented. "You can't just walk off because you're uncomfortable." Meanwhile, NBC's executives held an emergency meeting. The segment had aired live to millions, and while controversy often brought ratings, the tone of the backlash mattered. They couldn't afford to look like bullies. Jenna's team moved quickly, drafting a short but carefully worded statement. The Today with Jenna and Friends show values honest conversations and respects every guest's perspective. Kelly Clarkson remains a friend of the show, and we wish her continued success. It was a classic PR move, neutral, professional, and designed to cool the flames. But fans could tell there was tension behind the words. Kelly stayed silent for most of the day, avoiding all press inquiries. Her team declined to comment, and her official social media accounts remained quiet. But late that night, without warning, she went live on Instagram. The feed opened with Kelly sitting in her dressing room, wearing a hoodie, her blonde hair loosely tied back. She looked tired but steady. Her phone camera wobbled slightly as she adjusted it, then she exhaled and began to speak. "I know y'all saw what happened today," she said softly, looking directly into the camera. "And I just want to say this, I didn't walk off because I was angry. I walked off because I've spent too many years sitting in rooms where I had to laugh things off just to keep the peace. I'm not doing that anymore." The comments flooded instantly. Thousands of fans sent hearts, encouragement, and fire emojis. Kelly continued, her voice low but unwavering. "I respect Jenna. I've always liked her. But when people dismiss your feelings or treat your pain like a joke, that's not friendship, that's entertainment. I came on to talk about my new record, about healing, about moving forward. Not to be made into a soundbite." Her voice cracked slightly, and she smiled apologetically. "Anyway, I'm fine. I just needed to remind myself, and maybe some of y'all, that walking away doesn't mean losing your cool. Sometimes it's the most powerful thing you can do." The live session ended after 10 minutes, but it was enough. Within hours, her words were reposted everywhere. The clip of her saying, "Walking away doesn't mean losing your cool," became the quote of the day, featured on countless fan pages, news outlets, and motivational accounts. By the next morning, the fallout had only grown. Talk shows across the country debated the incident. The View opened with Whoopi Goldberg saying, "You can't ask people to be real, then get mad when they are." On social media, users started comparing Jenna's reaction to other hosts who'd been accused of being dismissive or passive-aggressive toward guests. Meanwhile, Jenna faced her own storm. Paparazzi followed her leaving the NBC building that afternoon, capturing photos of her looking visibly shaken. A source close to the show leaked to People magazine that Jenna was really hurt by what happened. She never intended to upset Kelly, and she feels blindsided by the reaction. But the internet wasn't feeling sympathetic. Viewers began posting compilation clips of previous moments where Jenna had made awkward comments to guests. "This isn't new," one TikTok user said in a viral post. Kelly just happened to be the first person to call it out live. 2 days later, Jenna returned to the show, visibly calmer but more subdued than usual. She addressed the incident directly during the opening segment. "I just want to say that I've always admired Kelly Clarkson," she began, her voice measured. "She's one of the most talented and authentic people in our industry. Sometimes, conversations take turns we don't expect, and emotions run high. But there's nothing but love on our end. Truly, it was sincere and safe." But viewers noticed that Jenna never actually apologized. Kelly, on the other hand, chose not to respond. Instead, she poured her energy into her music. Just a week later, she released an acoustic video of her upcoming single, "Stand Still," filmed in one take. The performance was stripped down, just Kelly, her guitar, and her voice. But the lyrics caught everyone's attention. "You can fake the light but I see the flicker fade. You can play your part, but I won't be played. I'll stand still, let the storm blow through. 'Cause peace don't live in pretending to." The internet exploded again. Fans and critics alike called it a direct response to the Jenna clash. The video racked up millions of views in less than 24 hours, and the song quickly climbed the streaming charts. Music journalists described it as Kelly's most vulnerable and defiant work since her early breakup anthems. Behind the scenes, NBC producers reached out privately, offering Kelly an olive branch. They wanted her back for a future episode, not to rekindle drama, but to reconcile on air. The hope was that a friendly reunion would calm the storm and show viewers that everything was fine. Jenna reportedly supported the idea wholeheartedly. But Kelly's response was simple and final: "No, thank you." She didn't elaborate, didn't tweet, didn't issue another statement. She just continued performing, touring, and sharing glimpses of her life with fans. Over the following weeks, the story slowly began to fade from mainstream headlines, but its impact lingered. Commentators began using the phrase, "pulling a Kelly," to describe moments when someone calmly walks away from a situation instead of engaging in conflict. It became a cultural shorthand, a symbol of quiet strength. Months later, when asked in a radio interview if she regretted walking off that day, Kelly laughed lightly. "Not even a little," she said. "That moment reminded me who I am. Sometimes you've got to walk away from noise to hear your own voice again." Her words resonated deeply with fans who had followed her career since American Idol. She had always been known for her powerful voice, but now, it wasn't just her singing that people admired. It was her ability to live her truth, no matter the stage. Jenna eventually moved on too, keeping things professional and positive on her show. Publicly, she continued to wish Kelly well, but the two women never appeared together again. The network quietly dropped any plans to revisit the topic, realizing that some stories didn't need to be wrapped up with a bow. And so, the fiery clash that started as a tense moment on live TV evolved into something much bigger, a cultural reminder that grace doesn't always mean staying seated. Sometimes, it means knowing when to stand, smile, and walk away.